Welcome back to Silent Podcast, where we are anything but silent. And we also are big fans of Jackboxes and marbles and all the fun. I'm really excited to talk about these episodes here. My name is Mark. Love Squid Game. Love this show. And I'm here with the one and only Sarah Carradine. How are you?
G'day, everybody. Wind it slowly, although why that makes a difference, I don't know, but
I
wind it slowly.
I always did that too as a kid. If I was like to see if it would change. I mean, it always would like be randomized. It feels like to a certain extent, but yeah, so much slow winding of the jacket boxes.
For no reason. But anyway, good for them.
Good for them.
What a great look, I mean, I was gonna say, what a great 2 episodes, but, like, they're all great, so
They're great. I think these are like two of the more depressing episodes we've had so far.
yeah.
And
Emotional. I got emotional,
definitely,
which is strange.
I yeah. I mean, for those that don't know, we are doing episodes 5 and 6. 5 is where the end of the week 1 break was.
Mhm.
So we'll get there because it ends on an interesting note.
Yes,
Uh,
it's trick or treat, and indeed, it is a trick. The treat is a trick.
but
Spoiler.
always a treat to
Hey,
for the chat.
Valencia, how are you?
And then we get in episode 6, which is goodbyes, which we will get to there very shortly. Yeah, so I guess we should just dive in, right?
Jump in, as it were.
Okay, like the way the show does, right? So you have the 5 people up there in the Jack in the Boxes will either contain a power to eliminate or an advantage in the game um, for the next or your immediate removal, which I think is fascinating. It could be like one of those 3 things: like you can eliminate someone, you get an advantage, or you're gone. Like,
Yes, and there's one box that no one's standing behind.
mhm.
So how do you think, just in terms of production, because, spoiler, there'll be 3 powers to eliminate, and we know 1 advantage and 1 you are eliminated. What was the one that wasn't selected, do you think?
Well, I feel like my diabolical mind thinks that it's you're eliminated, and one of those other 5 people is too.
Oh, I just thought it was a simple you're eliminated.
Oh,
So there are 2 you're eliminated, 3 eliminate someone else, and 1 you get an advantage because they don't mind if somebody doesn't get that one.
and this game is getting to that point right now where you do have to eliminate people, but you also have to like look out for your alliances at the same time, which is
Yes,
a big part of the first episode in this job for us.
absolutely.
So we get started, and it's in number 83, Jesse. We have Felicia at 229, 130, 375, and 087. Those are the players that are chosen that volunteered for this. And TJ is saying that Jesse at 183 is becoming a leader. And
Before our very eyes.
yeah, because he also is taking like Felicia is kind of a wreck during this whole thing. She's like very emotional and dealing with everything. Sarah's
An emotional wreck making fantastic
yeah,
strategic choices as far as
100%.
I'm Sarah's movement, my movement,
Did you move here?
my move did I move, Valencia? What do you mean? The way I'm sorry, in this famously, visual medium of podcasting, I'm doing a little head shake,
uh,
which is amusing as, we are in living color, and Valencia was amused by it,
I
apparently.
love it. Like it makes me so happy. Podcasting someone from the other side of the world makes me so happy. Uh,
Mhm.
I love it. It's like the world is so small and so big at the same time.
Like
Yeah,
this game.
exactly. So we get so Jesse's first. He cranks it, and it's like
Careful.
yeah, and he goes slowly, but not. I don't think he goes that slowly personally out of everyone
No,
else.
no.
And it pops open, and he's told that he must eliminate 2 players immediately. Everyone like in that dorm is so tense during this whole thing. And his first one is pretty easy for him to eliminate because there's someone he never really talked to, which is 026. I think that's what I would do too, honestly, if I was in that position. I'm like, I would talk to you. You're gone. Unless
Yeah.
there's someone that's threatening me.
Now, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Of the personally get to pick who is eliminated people that we've had throughout the show and are gonna continue to have, is this the first woman?
Yeah.
because I started to note whether men or women were picked for these very personal eliminations. And my feeling is that it's all been men.
It has been all men. I'm actually looking at the Wikipedia now has everything, like all the names and numbers from after like the survivors were like green light onward.
Mhm.
So and all like who's been eliminated. So it's Husnain, and then it's Lorenzo, Keen, Andy, um, Mothi. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So this is the first woman 026, and we don't know her.
Yeah,
We
like
don't know.
the most that we see of her is that she's staying next to 141, which is Dash.
Correct.
Which and so 183 decides that he's going to choose 141 Dash because he's spreading lies.
Yes.
And Cheney 179, whom we met last time, who's badass, smart, beautiful, everything, has the best reaction in the world to him going. And honestly, his exit's just really fun and like made for reality TV. I mean, like those who know Dash, he is a big reality TV person, like fan of it, and it's a really great exit. Honestly, it's a sad exit, but it's a great exit.
Yes, I never lied once in this game, he says, having lied to Felicia about not voting for her. But apart from that one lie and the lie where I said something else, but apart from those two lies, I never lied in the game.
And then he also outs that alliance that he knew about 183, 182, 179, and 176.
Yes.
So the next box, which is 375, he's next. Cranks it, cranks it, cranks it, cranks it. Pops open. He's been eliminated.
Eliminated.
Oof. Oh.
It would have been great if, as it popped up, his squib had gone off.
Oh, that'd been so great.
Yeah.
I'm sad that the squibs don't go off in the dorm eliminations, though.
Well, I see why, because they are trying to replicate the, killing in the night that happened in the dorms. And this was one of their really smart decisions, was saying, well, the other way that players in the original Squid Game were eliminated, as it were, by being killed in the night by their fellow players. So I think this is one of the genius decisions of production, is to replicate this in the sort of personal or voting for eliminations that we see. And they were killed in various manners, not including being shot by the guards, which is what the Black Squid ink replicates. So I understand why they didn't do it, but here was the one time I really missed it. I thought it would have been great if he just squibbed all over the place. But hey, they stayed true to the world building that they've done, and for that I appreciate them.
Exactly, and it's great. Then we get our next person, which is 087, which is Kyle. And Mikey, who we get a lot more content on Mikey at this point, which is 254, is wondering if his corner alliance, which is trying to stay off the radar, he's wondering like why his corner people are trying to make a move since Mikey and Kyle are part of the same alliance. And I agree. It's like that thing of like you don't want to like rub people the wrong way. You can't rub people the wrong way if you're not doing anything.
Yes, but then you could be, oh, I've never spoken to you and we don't have an alliance, so you're out. So it's tricky. Or you could miss out on getting an advantage. But was it an advantage?
Yeah. So
advantage or not.
So Kyle does it, and he goes and it pops out.
Sorry. Yes, pop.
And the weasel popped. And he must eliminate one player. And he decides to eliminate someone from that alliance that Dash just outed because they're not the corner alliance. And he chooses 176. And this is like the funniest part of the whole episode to me. Like, he doesn't realize, he forgets his number. He's like, haha, and he looks like, oh, that's me.
He looks down at his chest, upside down. Aren't I 971? Yes, no, it's you.
And it's just like, oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. So next is 130. And while this is all happening, Felicia's getting more and more anxious. Like, she's like really getting anxious. You can tell that she's having a hard time being up here.
Well, they're not going in order, right? They're not going in order. So she knows that each time it's not her selected to wind the box, it gives her that idea of why am I being saved till later in the sequence.
Because it was first her. No, it was first the person next to her, and then it was the person on the other end, and then it was like working. It's now working its way back to her. Um, yeah. So she's anxious, and then he takes a step back after it pops, and he gets an advantage, and he's on cloud nine. I like this is probably the happiest someone's been in the edit so far.
Yes. Pure
Like,
joy.
his name, I believe, is I looked it up earlier. It was Jacobin, and the dude's happy. He's like, yeah, something's on my side. And he goes back down, gives high five. He's like, yeah, everything's great, everything's awesome. I love the show.
I love this show too.
So next, finally, is Felicia. She's the last person.
So she's got to be thinking there must be two. So we've had 2 boxes where you eliminate someone else. And we've had 1 box where you get eliminated and 1 box with an advantage. So she has to be thinking that her box either is you are eliminated or you get an advantage.
Yeah, I mean, that 2-1-1 thing definitely for sure makes it think. Yeah. And she is crying right now. And 287, which is Ashley, is scared. We talked about her last time. They have like sort of like a mom alliance type situation. And Felicia like does this so slowly while like you hear her crying while she's cranking slowly.
It's not going to change the outcome, darling. Just get it over with.
Sarah, I'm amazed by how long this took. Like this was like 30 seconds of her cranking.
It was. And cranking and crying.
Yeah. And she starts crying harder once it pops open. And like you watching this, you're like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. Like it's like or she won. Like there's no in between. It's either the worst thing ever or she won.
It's
like,
not an advantage, that's for sure.
No. And oh god, I love this so much. She must pick 3 people to eliminate.
3. That's why you were last, Felicia.
And the terror on everyone's face in the dorms is so big. Everyone except for 130 because he has an advantage. And you start seeing there's a moment in Felicia's face where she turns from deep terror to I know what I have to do. Yeah.
Smart lady.
She's playing
smart and beautiful.
She's playing for her daughter. She says that like 2 more times in confessionals, and 130 says shit's about to get cutthroat. And then she pauses and says, the first player has an advantage in the game. And still 130
he doesn't get it.
Doesn't get it. He definitely is thinking it's 301, 302, Trey Leanne. Like that's where my brain's going. He's definitely thinking that way. And
it's so good. It's so good. Like it's a really smart move, and the way he doesn't realize it's him is just
he literally doesn't realize it's him until it's literally she says 130.
Yeah.
And like she says, people underestimate her. Now it's time for her to show her that she will win Squid Game. And let me tell you, Sarah, this is when I was like, Felicia's winning the whole season.
Felicia's winning she's taking the whole thing.
I'm like, it's either her or B. Like 100%. Yeah. And we get the title card. It's like 10 minutes into the episode too. I love it. I love like as a fan of art of like film and stuff like that, watching a title card appear like after a major act has happened makes me the happiest person ever. And this is the shortest episode.
It's short, and when I look at my notes, I don't have a lot of notes because a lot of it was relationship building, the tension of the jacks in the box, and sort of various other things that are going to happen, which we'll be revealing. Yeah. So my question for you is, what was the advantage? It's the advantage in the next game. We know what the next game is. What was the advantage?
My personal theory, he was going to have 222's picnic basket.
He and his partner?
No, just him.
So how do they compel him not to have a partner? Do they call him out and say 130, you must picnic alone.
I
But the thing is that they don't know that there's going to, production doesn't know that there's going to be, I suppose they know there's going to be an uneven number
yeah,
when they get to the Jack in the Box
because it's
game.
at 70 at this point, and then there's 7 people eliminated by the end of this round.
Yes. But the empty Jack in the Box might have been a 3, or it might have been a 2. So I think that I did think about that, but that's not an advantage in the next game. That is moving on past the next game. And I don't. They couldn't have guaranteed. Production couldn't have guaranteed the number of people that would make it through this round. If every Jack in the Box is opened, yes, they can. So I'm wondering if they get to choose the game. Spoiler: it's marbles is coming up. So do they get to insist on the game that's played? Do they get more marbles to play with?
I mean, more marbles are the only thing that could only make sense to me.
Or fewer marbles for their partner. Yes.
My brain really does wonder what it was, because part of me does think it is they get 222's basket, but yeah, I have no idea. I'm really curious if someone ever will answer that, like, production wise.
Well, if they want a Squid Game The Challenge 2, they won't answer it.
No. So like we said, 130 is gone. And at this point, like, it comes back from, like, the title card, and Cheney says it's gotta be 301, 302. And 229 says 243, our dear friend Steven, who's just been looking for a friend this whole game and found one. Like,
found a daddy, found a friend.
And people are sad because, like, people are liking. I think Steven's like one of the more liked characters in this game at this point.
And I mean, she says she's going to eliminate it. She doesn't say she's going to eliminate both members of a pair, but she does say she's going after a pair, and the camera, racks to 301, 302, and a lot of people do look at them, and they look worried.
And, like, also, like, at this point, everyone's just devastated from 243 being eliminated. And you see Rick 232 looking very, very sad, like, because that's not his best friend. Although I think 204 Dan is up there too.
Yes,
but it's just it's a lot. Like, it's like, you're like, wow, this is I think the first major character we've had eliminated in at least 2 episodes
since Starla. No.
Well, I mean, like, I feel like the last major elimination was probably
432. Yeah. Because I would say that 232 Rick is as big as 432 Brighton.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe even bigger, because I feel like in that first stump of episodes, it feels like Rick was like the third major character. Like, I feel like 301, 302 are definitely the main characters we got. But yeah, so 242 is gone, and then I can't believe she does this, but I love it. Her last person, 232, Rick, the sweet beekeeper, doctor, tattoo man, is the next one out. Beloved. And, like, he thought he was protected. And
by the Gumbo Gang. He's going to get a Gumbo Gang tattoo, and then he changes that to, no, he's actually going to get like a montage tattoo, which will show all the highlights of his Squid Game. Gumbo Gang's going to be in there, but his number's going to be in there, and various things. People think very carefully about tattooing numbers on yourself, just saying.
Yeah. It historically not a good thing. And that's the end of that test. Yeah, anything you want to say about that test?
So, well, only in that she could have picked one member of 2 strong pairs. She could have sent out Rick, 232, and one of Trey or Leanne, thus nobbling 2 pairs. But she may know that Steve and Rick are part of this Gumbo Gang, or she may have a feeling about these men alliances, although there is a woman in Gumbo. So she may be trying to gut one alliance, which she can do by disguising her motivation as sending out a pair. So she sends out a strong pair and she guts an alliance. So it's a clever. I like her thinking. I expected, the first time I watched it, once she eliminated Steve, I thought, oh, she's going to go for either Leanne or Trey, and potentially Leanne. But no, in a way, I sort of like the whole of one pair and the gutting of an alliance in one fell swoop. But what about you, Mark?
I think she did the right thing personally, completely. Because in my mind, if she does 301 or 302 and 243 or 232, it would just draw those other two people together who are already really well respected. Because I think all four of those people are very well respected. And for all we know, like she probably was pretty close to seems like everyone was pretty close to Trey Leanne, honestly.
Yes.
Um, like
And
in
I
a
think,
different, yeah,
you don't leave one in the game to seek revenge on you. You take them both out.
yeah, and like I don't know. It seems like at this point, Trey Leanne are more strong in the way that she wants strength,
Yes.
um, to maintain strength. So
Yes, and they're more welcoming because they are just two rather than Steve and Rick, who were two inside. They're an onion. They're
yeah,
inside the Gumbo gang.
yeah. So we get to like afterwards, and like there's some small interesting things that happen. 229. Felicia's like she doesn't care about targets, and I think the majority is thankful for what she did. We also get like a meetup with the Ganbu gang survivors. 204, Dan is now like the de facto leader, I feel like, of the Ganbu gang. And there's 3 players left to him, 031, and as 334. And they decide to be less physical, which I think is the smartest thing they can do because they've lost a lot of members in the last
Too
few
late.
days.
Too late.
Yeah.
I do like them whispering, Gumbo gang. Like they can't, you could have not done it,
Yeah.
but if you are going to do it, Gumbo gang.
I do love that at this point we get a really fun confessional from Trey 301 saying that Felicia was looking exactly directly at him like the whole time. So like definitely the thought crossed her mind, I feel like. Or yeah. We go to the big board now. It goes from 70 down to 63.
Wow.
An easy 10%. And we get introduced, I believe, to 393, Jackie, who
Yes, love
steals
Jackie.
my heart all over again because we'll talk about more about her in a bit, but she makes the like first comment like, "Wow, nobody's clapping anymore." Yeah,
Because it's people. Yes, she's a late introduction here at episode 5. I mean, I'm sure we've seen her before, but she's now going to feature very heavily in the next spoiler, several episodes.
yeah. Boy, it's gonna be fun when we get to episode 6 in a moment. I talked about that briefly on Twitter, but we'll get there. So Jada and 221 are talking about people. 097 is Jada. Are talking about people who work together, but it's like they're people that work together, but in an alliance. And she has a confessional how the money would mean a lot to her. And she donated her kidney to her brother and wants to donate the money to a center. And I like
some
that.
of the money. Some of the money.
And,
it is interesting that everybody says, well, it would be life-changing for me. And I go, yeah, no, duh. It's life-changing for 456 people.
Yeah.
Each of them. Yeah.
And this whole like we also get like a nice thing where Felicia and Ashley are talking about like how they're now like they bonded over the terror that whole thing caused. And they're like now they're locked in. They're locked in. They were very close to each other. They're like locked in, ride or dies. Very important to know. Then we get our other alliance that's been talked about a lot this episode that is not Trini's alliance. The corner is what they're called. And they're still pretty intact. So there's Kyle, who's 087, 254, Mikey, who feels like the ringleader, and 404, Ned, he's tight. They're all tight with each other. And
Mikey, my soul ranger representation now that Dash is gone.
Mikey's energy, like the way he looks to me for some reason, looks like jacked young Conan O'Brien with a beard. I don't know why.
I don't see it, but I can't say. But yes, why not?
I'm a big Conan fan, and I'm a big Mikey
that might be why. You look for him in all the faces that
basically,
you see, Mark. Yes.
Yeah, and like they hear someone coming, and they have like a really cute, like kind of like don't like
shut up.
Like
pretend to be talking about and then you shoot your basket like this. It's like no.
Then Mikey, in his confessional, reveals he doesn't trust the other half of the corner, which is 077 Marino, whom we've seen like for like a second, 065 Dylan, which we're going to talk about a lot today, and 339 Rob. And Mikey says he's going to eliminate them all so he can win. I feel like Mikey's energy is friendlier Brighton, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, big, strong, buffy bloke, but it's the, it's the acceptable face of Brighton as a way, but same person, essentially.
Then we get 301 and 302, Leanne and Trey ask 418, Roland, new character alert, if anyone's targeting them, and like you find out that like no one's really targeting them. But like it sucks that like everyone that they care about is left pretty much. And 301, Trey talks about how he was in the hospital last year because his lung collapsed, which is really sad.
Yes.
So 5 people are required to do a chore, and the people that volunteer are 278.
Don't volunteer. Don't volunteer. Don't volunteer.
This is one of the ones where my brain's
don't volunteer.
Something really bad's going to happen. So Ashley 278 volunteers, 065 Dylan volunteers, 287 my volunteers, whom we've seen a little bit array about, 097 Jada, and 054 Lucia up here. And Mikey thinks it's either going to be like it might be a 1,000-piece puzzle or a treat. Maybe the 5 people will get out. And at this point, Mike talks about how she wants control. This is a big plot point. How she wants control. And
yes, I love this character, this real person who is also a television character.
Yeah. And then they go in there and they find out that they have to juice oranges. And they fill 3 jugs in half an hour. And they immediately go to work.
Yes. Very poor. Some of them have very poor technique.
Yeah.
But those that must be very juicy oranges because they complete the task suspiciously easily, I would say, Mark.
It seems like it was close though, like time-wise. Like because
so they had plenty in the jug, plenty in the small jugs that they were decanting into the big jugs.
It's the thing of like there is foam on the top. Is foam part of the juice? I mean, it is, but it's not.
It is because the bubble, the thing around the bubbles is juice.
Yeah.
So, but what I liked was that little slight thought of, and then they're sent back to the dorm without being told if they completed the task. We're told there'll be a treat a treat for everybody if they complete the task, but we're not told what will happen if they don't complete the task.
Yeah. So then we get a new not alliance shown. 451, which is Phil. He talked earlier about how great his hair is. 393 Jackie.
It is great. Like he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. Beautiful, good energy hair. Dude. I love Phil a lot. And 399 Aurora. They're friends. And like, but they're not an alliance. Like Phil talks about how like he had no idea about how there were beefs and alliances, and Aurora said that they look kind of like because they're always hanging out, and says like a lot of things are unspoken. And Jackie says maybe they just shouldn't talk. And this is like when we get another confessional from Jackie, and we actually see that she's signing, which is fantastic. Like we don't get this kind of representation too often of a deaf person playing a game like this, especially like considering I feel like the 2 biggest representations that we've had in the last year have happened since this was taped, or like because The Circle and also Big Brother 25 I feel like are the biggest representations,
and the current Amazing Race.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
And
which I mean, certainly the Amazing Race is a much easier situation because it's father-son and they both sign. So the father is well protected, I was going to say, is well informed about what's going on. And when the father has to complete tasks in Amazing Race, they also have a translator there if the son doesn't go with. But here, Jackie is in a room full of, 455 other people, dwindling. And she says it's hard in groups. So she does a combination. She hears a little and she lip reads. And apparently, like talking to people who lip read, they say a lot of it is, so it's an art, not a science. you're looking for context clues.
Yeah.
You're looking for, and I mean, how I would translate that in my experience is I speak very little German. I understand a small amount more. If I sit with my friends who are speaking German and I listen, I can follow the conversation. I can't really add to it, but I can follow it. But if for a moment I sort of think about something else or look away and come back, I'm lost. I actually don't know where they were. And that's how I sort of understand that context idea of you're not actually reading every word that's being said. You're forming from context and keywords what the conversation might be.
Yeah.
That might not be Jackie's experience, but that is how I understand it would be for a deaf person in a hearing situation where there are a lot of voices.
Yeah, it's Jackie is someone I started following immediately after episode 6.
Why wouldn't
Well,
you?
even
She's
during, she's
fantastic.
amazing, good energy. I really like what she stands for, and like this, like not alliance between her, Phil, and Aurora is one of my favorite things in this whole first stump.
Mhm.
We don't get much of them in that first stump, at least, and they're just really good, sweet people. Like you're like, I like these people. I hope they do well, and I'm happy they found each other too. Like that's really
Yes.
important.
Yeah, like calls to like to
Yeah.
some extent. I mean, that's one of the interesting sort of views of or over themes, overriding themes, overarching themes. There you go. I got to it. That's one of the overarching themes, I think, of you take 456 people, they will find their friends. They will find their tribes. They will
Yeah.
find. We are small group primates. We are not actually built for large cities. I'm an urban girl. I love a large city.
Mhm.
But we're not actually built for groups of 456. We're small group primates, and we form groups. This is where cliques come from. And it's for protection and community and friendship and all of those sorts of things. And you put 456 people in a room, they will find their groups.
Mm-hmm. And we're not going to talk about what their alliance, they're not alliance name is. We'll talk about that in the next episode when it's mentioned. I just love them. These people warm my heart.
They're charming.
Easily
They're
the
charming
yeah.
to a person. Yeah.
So then the doors open, and the guards appear, and they're told that it was successful. So
Oh,
the task was successful. So the whole dorm gets a treat. And what's that treat? It's a picnic. And everyone goes wild, and like everyone must choose someone to go on a picnic with, because there's 63 of them, not 62, not 64, 63. That's not an even number. So 222, Jordan, our Aussie friend, who looks like a young Hulk Hogan. I love him so much.
I buy that. That one I buy.
Yeah, cool. It's not like super intense Conan O'Brien from Ireland. uh, and I just love, like, so everyone's really excited. And like Jordan doesn't mind being alone. He wants to take the risk, because I feel like he feels he's been playing safe at this point. You know?
Yeah, it feels safe, but it's also like a fairly inexpensive, generous act.
Yeah.
All right, I'll be the one.
Yeah.
Don't worry, because one of our sort of small bads, a hated character, 063, is it? He's rushing around because he doesn't have a
Oh,
partner.
065.
065,
Yeah.
and he says, "Oh, she'll do, because I'd rather have a partner than not have a partner, because something bad's going to happen if you don't have a partner." 065, you are a complete word I'm not going to say on this podcast.
We're going to get to him in like less than 5 minutes.
Yes.
I figured out the best way to do the notes on like the next episode, because like it's specified like diode for major diodes, but
Well, you're
so
in charge. You're in charge, but also I can go rogue.
oh, Sarah, you're better at podcasting than me any day
Oh,
of the week.
stop! It's not a head-to-head competition, Matt.
No, it's
Mark,
not. But
yet.
okay, I'm scared about episodes
Mhm.
7, 8 for us, and 9 and 10 now. So we some pairs are of note. I think the most important ones to note up for this picnic: Trey and Leanne, 301, 302, Felicia and Ashley, 229 and 278. I didn't notice many pairs, but everyone just looks so happy. Like, I really want to point that out. Everyone,
097 Jada with 287 Mai.
yes, yes, yes. Like, yeah, because they did have a little bonding moment, and like everyone
Yes.
looks so happy, and like eventually,
And even
Fr-
Jordan 222, he pulls his picnic rug towards some friends.
yeah,
So, excuse me, people aren't just sitting in pairs. They're sitting in pairs on a rug, but they are surrounded by other pairs and they're excited. They pull
uh-huh.
out little bottles of orange juice, which is very exciting.
Apparently the brownies are really good. I saw B
Oh,
talking about that online.
yeah.
Um, and I love the shot so much of like
Oh
that like
my
high
God,
shot
so
of the
good.
dorm, and you see like 32 pairs of 32 blankets and people on the blankets just having the time of their life. Then
It's the
Trey,
first true relief from the game. So this isn't the game, right? Because the game was juice the oranges. It was successful. Here's the outcome. Oh, they can all completely relax. There's nothing strategic to be done. And there's delicious food. Come on. Brilliant.
so our dear friend Trey 301 is just digging around, and he finds out there's a false bottom. And underneath that false bottom are 2 sacks filled with marbles. Don't choose a person you love. Oh my God.
I can look, Twitter was shouting at everybody as well. But I think given how brilliantly I described the setup of the picnic is so fantastic because the producers know everybody knows the show. And so they have to subvert various things, including asking people to pair up. If they ask people to pair up, no way would people pair up with their friends.
Yeah.
But they set it up entirely as, well, here's the task that may or may not be, completed. And if it is, you'll all get a treat. So the picnic is not a task. The picnic is not an instruction. It flows on from a task that has been achieved and everyone's happy. So, I mean, it would be very interesting to know if one person thought, hold on, pairs. But we didn't see anybody, so therefore it didn't happen. If we don't see it on the
Yeah.
screen, it didn't happen, everybody.
And we get more and more people finding out
the tension between the
that's
cheering, happy people who
oh,
haven't found the marbles and the silent, just completely deflated people who
and
have found the marbles.
like I love how you see people being like, so I'm gonna go hard at this. And like
Yeah.
I'm going hard. Like everyone's saying that. Like no one's like giving up yet,
No.
which is great. And then next thing you know, the doors open, a guard appears, tells them to follow the staff, 2 marbles. End of
So
episode 5.
good. But guess what?
What?
Jordan 222, he looks under his false bottom and he says, guys, I haven't got any marbles. But he says it he doesn't say it triumphantly. He just tells them as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Oh, Jordan.
You sweet Hulk Hogan.
What did you think of this as the moment to finish episode 5?
I think it
Like
was like
there's a little arc in episode 5 that I think is very successful.
I think like they introduced us to some new characters, players, humans, or whatever you want to call them, because we've lost all of them except for 3. Because the only ones from that first step, like the ones by all of them, I mean all the ones from the beginning, 301, 302, and 097, like the ones that we've had from the beginning that survived this first 5 episodes, and they do a really good job of giving us emotional attachment stuff for people. Since it's like, oh, I don't know who this person is, whatever, and then you find out, oh yeah, they're cool or whatever. And I think the editing is so spectacular for the preview for the next week because everyone knows Marbles is the emotional episode.
Yes. And we now have been given new people to worry about. Ashley 278 and Felicia 229. They're in a pair. We see other people who we don't really know, but we kind of, oh yes, I saw them, and
like that blonde girl, Amanda is her name. They're 19.
Yeah.
And her and B have always been like near each other, and they're a pair. No, they're not a pair. They're not.
No, they're not a pair, and
They're
we're glad. We're glad that they're not a pair.
Yeah. No, because I saw online that they were like, no, we know what this is. We're not gonna do it. Yeah.
Yes. So well, of all the people who were going to figure out that it was marbles, it would have been those 2.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda's super smart. Like she comes across, she's got very bleached hair. She's got a fake tan which fades
Yep.
as the show goes on. But we find out she's military, and she's not intelligence, but she's an engineer. And it's like, yeah, and because she has, she has, I smell me meat burning in the oven. She's a liver bird from Liverpool, so she talks like this, and so people go, oh yeah, not only are you that, but you're a woman. And as we are going to find out, women have been discounted in the game. So when I was thinking about, like, in the individual eliminations, how many have been women, traditionally in reality shows, women go out first. But I think in this reality show, men have been taken out because they are seen as threats.
Yeah.
And the only woman that's been taken out in an individual elimination, let's call it, is because the person didn't know her and had to pick someone.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, very interesting. Amanda, I mean, she stood out physically right from the start. Her friendship with B makes us very fond of her. So she's going to come slightly to the fore. So I think the story, the way the story is being told to us, and when we lose some characters, we get more, is just so wonderful. And then there are some sort of ancillary characters like Jordan 222. I think by now we pretty much know he's not going to be a major character, but he's one of the people of, oh yes, there's Jordan, and he's sort of pottering along there. Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Since we had that nice week gap between episodes, who were like winner picks at this point?
At this point, B. It was B, Trey and or Leanne. I mean, they can't both win. I thought Leanne over Trey if I was forced to decide. B, Felicia. What about you?
B and Felicia were for me. I did not think 301, 302 were going to make it much into the second batch of episodes.
Oh.
It felt like they were really good introductory characters to keep you warm and happy. I also was getting very strong positive vibes from Jackie 393.
Yes, I was too, but it was such a late introduction.
It was so late, but I mean, we'll talk more about her in
Erica, right?
Yeah. So let's get going. Everyone finds their places. And it's exactly like how it is in the show.
The set is absolutely incredible.
Immaculate. It's so good.
Immaculate.
It's like
even to sort of the washing on the line and the various pots and watering cans and various things. I mean, it's spectacular.
Yeah.
I wonder if they heard them resetting the game room. Because that's why if you look back at how the days have been reduced and what happens on each day and what happens in the dorm and the chore room. Part of that is because they got to strike the big sets. Battleships has to come out and Marbles has to go in. I mean, this is incredible. Kudos to the tech crew. They work extremely hard and they're very, very good at their jobs.
Yeah. So, so everyone has 20 minutes and they have to devise what kind of game they want and what kind of rules they want. Very, very, very important. And I believe they all start off with 10 marbles apiece. But that doesn't matter. And any pair that doesn't complete in 20 minutes is gone.
That doesn't decide on a victor. They say looking back, the wording was very judicious.
Yeah.
Any pair who has not decided on a victor, both will be eliminated.
So, Sarah, the way I wrote my notes for this, since it's kind of like chaotically edited,
yes,
I wrote them in like diodes, like from how they were introduced all the way until like for like the important ones at least.
I think that's great. Let's do it that way.
So the first one was introduced is 399 Aurora and 065 Dylan.
And this was the perfect ones to go first, right?
I fucking hate Dylan. I hate saying that. Really pissed me off.
Telling someone not to raise their voice when they haven't is bad enough. But can I just say it's so gendered? A man saying to a woman who is calmly stating her case, you don't have to raise your voice. Ooh. Oh, I could have squibbed him myself right there and then.
It's just like there's so much. I'll say this is a white straight man. There's so much white privilege coming out of him. And it's very offensive. And it makes me very upset how he talks to her and how he plays this game. It's disgusting.
White privilege, male privilege. And short man energy too. 065.
Oh my God!
I see you. I love a short king, but you are not a short king. You're a short
Also the way
troll.
I hate talking about things that are not part of the show specifically, but the way that he's talked about this afterwards is gross.
Oh,
And
okay. Let's stop down and talk about that.
let's not you want me
Yeah,
to?
let's do it. Let's do it. Let's
He
yeah,
says
we
that
don't
production, he said
listeners, as you know,
production on
we've
the side.
decided
He said
to
production
just
was on
talk
the
about it.
side with everything, and that like he has.
Sorry, Mark, I talked while you were talking.
Oh, you're fine,
Yeah.
totally fine.
What did he say about
Like he
production?
said, like production was on his side, and like if they had to choose, they would have chosen him. And he doesn't think he should be getting such bad flack for this. When the guy was just talking over her and controlling everything, and like not giving either of them a fair shot.
And the other thing he kept saying to her was, "You're not compromising, you're being stubborn." It's like, pot kettle, hello? And also, can I ask, in what fashion, 065, I'm not even gonna give you your name, in what fashion did you understand production to be on your side? In what fashion? Did they come down and talk to you? Did they send a message? Did you get a little word in your ear? I don't believe it. I know that reality television is not reality, but I do believe that there is such a care for the world building that these producers have made. I cannot in any way think that 065 saw a producer once
And
he was in. I mean, obviously they
of course,
go into the confessionals and they'll be asked
yeah,
questions, although it looks like they can't actually see the person asking them questions, which is fantastic. But once they're in this environment and in this game, there's only the guards. Guards aren't going to say anything.
no.
Be their jobs.
And like so basically they spend most of the time are like trying to decide, well, she's giving in a lot and he's not giving her anything. And he only wants to do throwing. She's like, well, I'd rather do strategy. And he's like, I can't do strategy. I'd rather do throwing. I'll do my weak arm. And she's like, that's stupid. And eventually, with 2 minutes left, she gives in. And it's I'm so pissed off at this point, like 25 minutes of the episode while watching all this stuff happening, that every time it cuts back to him, I'm just like, dude, you're like a bad dude. And
You're bad man. You're bad man. And we haven't seen you before and we'll never see you again. Boo.
you see him a little bit. You see him a little before. He's part of the corner, but it's just so like they like basically rush through like the most common tossing into a bucket thing. He takes the first shot, he misses. She takes the second shot. Eventually, she's the first one to score with like I think like probably the fourth or fifth marble in. And he gets pissed off when time runs out because he does not want to lose. And so and like by any stretch of the imagination, there's no way he wins this game. He took the first shot. He was the second one to score a point. He should not have been able to bring her down with him. I get why, but like I was so angry.
So was she.
Yeah. Again, I will. There are people that are getting flack on the line for this game that we had talked about and will talk about. Like Brian gets a lot of flack. I whatever. This is not a good like the way this guy decided to play this game is not moralistically, karmically, anything good.
Yes. All the other people that have been getting flack, and even though you and I, Mark, don't know what happens next,
Yeah.
there's somebody that gets flack for an action that I think is perfectly reasonable. I think all the actions that people have been, oh, but she was like this and he was like this. It's all like, you know what? It's a game. Here is not a game.
This is just
This
rude.
is just a very unpleasant person who was a bad loser.
Yeah.
That's really the worst you can.
6-5,
That's a terrible
lost.
thing to be. You lost. You
fucking
lost the game and you never admitted that you did. And that is a nasty and terrible way to go through life. And may you live a very long life, 065, so that you regret that and the fact that the entire world saw it forever.
Thank you. I'm so happy that we agree on so much.
I don't have any strong feelings about it, Mark.
Then like because I woke up this morning, I'm like, wow, I gotta talk to Sarah about this episode with other two people I feel like really fuck up, and that's it's nothing shocking in my mind who fucks up in this episode. It's very obvious,
Yes.
for different reasons. But this one, I'm like, you are bad. You're a bad person. Let's go to another team. So they both get eliminated because fuck 065. I don't think I've ever come out so angry at a person in a game before. Whatever. All right, so let's go to the next one, which is 278, which is Ashley, and 229. Felicia, they are very careful with deciding the rules for this. And Felicia is sad that she has to actually do this to Ashley, and they're both having a really hard time during their time of the game. And there's just a lot of love between them, and I really, really love that a lot, you know?
Plus, they're both trying to win, and that's what the thing is, like the push, the internal struggle is that neither of them is just going
Yeah.
to give their friend the game while hating beating them. Excuse me, and we're going to see that repeated again and again with these pairs.
Did you see what Gwen said about you?
Oh no!
Gwen just called you mother.
Oh, thanks, Gwen.
Yeah.
You put it capital M, but other than that, thank you.
It's better than with the exclamation mark, and it'll be lowercase.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, you made me blush.
So this game, there's not much that happens in this. It seems like Ashley's going to win it from pretty early on, and Felicia is just really sad by the whole thing, and she misses the last shot and loses. And it's honestly a very respectful and beautiful moment between these two amazing, strong women.
Yes, this is. I mean, there are pairs that you might have a slight, what Americans would call rooting interest. Rooting means something else here in this country. There are pairs where you think, oh, I hope it's that one over that one. There are others where you say, oh, I sort of don't mind. And then there are ones that are just devastating. And this is one of the really devastating matchups where you think it can't be. And that's so in the scripted show, where your very being rebels against the fact that one of them is going out. And here I think the players are also having that rebellion. It's like, so where's the Deus ex machina that's going to come down and save them both somehow?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, but we want it to happen, and it doesn't happen. It's devastating.
Yeah. And I think Felicia is one of the better characters that we have in the show. She doesn't have the biggest arc, but it's one hell of an arc, and she makes big moves, and you have to respect that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So then we get to 393 and 382. Fucking Tim.
Fucking Tim. We try not to swear, but god damn it, fuck you, Tim. In every orifice. Ugh,
literally,
somebody else.
My first sentence is it literally wrote down 393 and 382 have the worst conversation of all time.
It's terrible.
It's disgusting. Jackie is clearly the sweetest human being who's not afraid to be a badass woman, and Tim is just a piece of shit.
You didn't tell me you could sign. Why would she sign in a group of 455 people who don't sign? I love that she signs in her confessionals. That's representation.
Mm-hmm.
But if she signs in a group of people, it's like drawing attention. They're not going to understand anyway. She has taught sign to a couple of people. She said already people can say, good morning and various things because they've asked me because they're interested.
I hate that he says that this is a strategy of hers.
Ugh.
I hate
You're
that
playing the deaf card.
And he says it so smugly. I hate this. He's like an older white man. I believe British. I'm not sure. But I just the way he's talking to her is just so gross. He's like, you just want me to lose so you can so you can have better representation is basically what he's saying.
Yeah. And I love the way he says, I'm deaf too. So, did you ever speak to me about it? Was there a moment that no. Horrible. He was the one that was holding it back to use it as a strategy and as an advantage. So, often people will call out in others something that is actually their own. And I feel, I've got no reason to think it, but because he was accusing her of it, where she clearly isn't doing that, I can only think, well, you just think she's doing it because that's what you were planning to do.
I do. I almost wish we saw Tim before this, but also I'm happy we didn't because I don't want to feel sympathy towards him. But you never really see Tim in other shots. There's not too many people with gray hair that are tall and look like a skeleton. And I hate saying things like that, but I think my favorite part of this whole interaction is just she takes it in calmly and she's just like, you're ruining yourself. And he did. This is not about the game. This is about real life. People are going to watch this. and see that he thought that she would use a thing about her to curry favor, and that's gross.
Yeah, it's gross. And not only that, she's gonna use a disability, and not only that, he claims the same disability.
Yeah.
Come on.
And so, like, we don't get too much of them after that. We just get every time he cuts back to them, it's just tense. It's just tense and angry. And he doesn't do as well as her by a long shot, clearly. And
By a
like he's
long
just getting
shot.
more and more upset. And I think my favorite thing is that when he loses, he's just so angry. And like they don't interact. She's like, so I won. And he's like, mm-hmm.
He doesn't say congratulations, he does
Just
nothing.
takes the
And then he
marble.
doesn't die properly. He gets his squib and he's just like, come on, man.
It's kind of fun. Like, I mean, like, I'm a big Jackie fan. Again, I told you I followed her right immediately after this, like during this episode. Like, you're great people. I want to follow good energy, good people. And it's just, I'm sorry she had to deal with this. And it sounds like it's unfortunate. I think she has to deal with more often than not. But we respect an awesome person with that's great representation,
And
the
that thinks
definitely,
about it. Like that
yeah,
thinks about like she's in the game, she's playing the game, but she also thinks about the television product. And there's absolutely no problem for me with reality television, reality contest,
yeah,
reality contest game television contestants thinking about that it's a television product. So if you're King George Mladenov of Australian Survivor, you know what your job is as a reality TV contestant.
yeah,
Here she came in thinking about what her job was, apart from winning, what her job was, and putting herself out there to be that representation. It's extraordinary. And yeah, I just can't say enough good about her. She's very nice curly hair too.
yeah.
So curly hair representation as well. All
We
you
love it.
people who are ironing your hair flat,
Stop.
maybe stop.
Also, I know we are talking about some of the other, some of the deaf representation we've had this year on TV. Like I said briefly, Raven from The Circle is one of my favorites. She was in there with her interpreter, and she was like a really fun, good energy character, and seems like a great person online. And like again, I applaud these casting directors for casting people that are not just like that are differently diverse, instead of just like race or whatever.
Yeah, but producers, you have to make accommodations. You
It
can't
can't be
just
Big Brother 25 for the
can't
first
be
half.
yeah, it can't be that because you're just showing your entire ass when you
Yeah.
do that.
So then we get to the one that I feel like we all were stressing out
Of
about.
course. Of course.
301 and 302, Trey and Leanne. They talk about how they both really want to win. And one of the things I love about her here is that she talks about how she like discovered in her something that she was looking for and now wants to use it to win. It's not like, yeah, I got what I needed. Thanks, bye. She's like, I got what I needed. Now I'm gonna kick your ass, son.
Did she throw it?
No, I don't think so. Do you think so?
She said well, I wouldn't have thought so from I know her very, very well. I mean, I know her intimately. She's been on my television. She says she's not going to let him win. She said another, and I love the way she says, "Oh, another mother might let the child win, but that's not me." And I believe that.
Yeah.
But she does throw 2 marbles long, not just 1, but 2. And she says she was trying to lob them. I mean, the stress might have got to her, but she is an athlete. So I don't know. On balance, I would say she didn't. But I think it's a very interesting moment where he turns to her and says, "What happened to those 2 shots?" She said, "Oh, I was trying to lob
Yeah.
them, but I went long."
The
Yeah.
reason to me why I don't think she threw it is like the reaction she has when she like messes up the few times you see her.
Yes.
She's clearly upset in a real way,
Yes.
not like, oh man. It's like
Yeah.
fuck.
And I also think she has too much respect for herself, the game, and her son to let him win. So that would
And
actually be disrespectful.
obviously this is the one that's like the most drawn out of all of these, because they keep cutting back and it's like close every time. And again,
They have 3 circles, one inside the other, drawn in the sand.
well, yeah, they do
They're
like
one of the
dartboard style, right?
Yes, yes, and so a couple of the others do circles in the sand. Almost everybody else throws into a pot or some receptacle
Or like a
or a
ditch.
hole in the sand. Yeah,
Yeah.
a ditch. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the gamification to the more extreme extents for them, with
Yes,
the dartboard
it
idea.
made complete sense.
And honestly, like this is such a beautiful ending of their arc. The way it's done, I think it's just really, really sweet and beautiful.
And he gets the slow motion walk away, don't look back.
Yeah, which happens in the show, uh, which is yeah. Watch
And she
Squid Game if you haven't watched Squid Game,
yeah,
just because it's so
if
good.
you haven't watched it, what are you doing with your life?
Like honestly, just do it. Like,
Mhm.
come on. Then we get to Kyle and Mikey 087-254, and they literally decide just to hang out until the last 30 seconds, and
I
whoever
love
gets it
that.
closest to the wall wins. And they're
So,
both,
spoiler, somebody in the a pair in the scripted series does that too. So,
yeah,
they've obviously watched it and they just decide, "Yep, one throw."
and like they're just having a good last chat for like 19 and a
Mhm.
half minutes while it's also getting more and more intense. And they're like, this is tense, but you know what? I'm here with my friend, and I trust my friend.
Yes, yes, and then we'll both throw at the same time, which I loved.
They
There
picked each
wasn't
other's
one
marble,
and then
which
the
is
other.
cool.
Yep. "Oh, I'm going to give you this one. Oh, I'm going to give you this one." It was lovely. It
Yeah,
was really lovely, narratively, emotionally, humanly, and, televisionally. So
yeah,
it worked extremely well. Thank you, chaps, for that moment.
yeah. Uh, yeah, I just Mikey is really growing on me a lot.
Mhm.
Like from like the end of last episode to like this episode a lot.
Mhm.
And so then we get to the next one, which is 451, Phil and Brad. And they decide to simple dig like a little hole in the ground and shoot for the hole. And it seems like whoever gets the most near the inside the hole wins. And it's just
Yes.
like I like this because it's one of the more respectful ones. They're both just very respectful about the situation. And Phil wins, and like they're like very much like, "Good job, thank you, represent me
Yes.
well, thank you."
Yes. Yes. Yes, and they were also saying it through, "Oh, how many have you got left? How many have you got left?
Yeah,
How many have we," they're checking in with each other. They're not overly, demonstrative, but yes, that respect, and you think, "You see?" Uh, Not that I wanna mention him again, 065, you can do this with respect.
it's so easy. Um,
It's so easy.
and then we get to
Even if you're not on
yeah,
television, you can do it, but if you're on television, at least act like you've got a backbone, you
act like
bloody
a fucking human being, bro.
you jellyfish. I like jellyfish, so,
You
slimy or
shitty squid of a human being.
mhm. Squid are very intelligent, so no.
Okay, a dumb squid.
A
That
dumb squid, yeah,
yeah. Uh, so then we get to
that's
97,
a
which is
special needs
Jada,
squid, yes.
and
Mhm.
287, which is Mai. We've had a little content of Mai so far. She basically just been Chad's friend. Chad's not really much of a person yet, but they're like friends. Like that's really it. Like they're like each other's like number one.
Chad likes naps,
Yeah,
that's why I like
Chad
Chad.
likes naps. And
Mm.
this is like it's interesting because like Jada's crying a lot during this, like a lot. And not that that's a weak thing, but it's just like it's that weird thing of the crying is because like she gets along very well with Mai, and like you don't like again, it's like most of what you see of Jada is very solo, and you don't really see Mai yet so much at this point.
Yeah.
At this point, we start learning about Mai's background. She's got a military background and has had a tough life. We are going to talk about that more because there's a big confessional later about that. And they both decide just to not give up, and it's really like a good, like respectful bout. Like they both go at it hard, and Jada loses.
Yeah, but she loses, like, cleanly in a
Yeah,
clean, good, respectful competition. Yeah.
yeah. Then we get to 221 and 179, which is Cheney. Again, they are close, and like that's really the most important thing that we know they're close. And Cheney loses.
I'm
Um,
very surprised. I was very so shocked.
yeah,
Shocked.
she's definitely was giving big character energy.
Mhm.
Not like
She
it
was
was
she
like
was giving Starla energy, let's put it that way. Starla, never forgotten, never forgotten.
I mean, literally, this you're the star of the first 8.5 minutes of the show, and we love that for you, Starla.
Mhm.
Um, then we get 182, which is TJ, and he just beats Jesse, who's also part of his alliance. I think it's great.
I actually thought TJ was going out here.
I did too. I it started feeling like TJ's story was getting ready to wrap up at that point. But like we don't get much of TJ and Jesse. But like I feel like Jesse was ramping up what we
Hmm.
were getting instead of
Yeah.
like boop boop.
About boop boop. Very good game. Very good tabletop game sound.
Thank
Boop
you.
boop boop
It's all Pong here. Boop.
boop 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 boop
So.
boop. Or is that
uh,
20? Or is that 24? Boop boop
oh
boop. Yeah,
yeah,
if it's a different tone, it's 24. If it's
right.
Pong,
And
it's
then
the
it's like
same
keep its
tone.
own,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah, keeper.
this is hours 11 to 12 noon. Gotta see the president and my daughter. Oh god. Yeah. I apologize. Everyone's like curious why this is going along. These were 2 meaty episodes. Today was going to be longer, but we're getting near the end.
We're nearly there. Yeah, we've nearly thrown all our marbles.
We literally have one last marble team itself, which is 204. Dan and 209, who are both 2/3 of the Gabu Gang at this point, and Dan wins. So the Gabu Gang, from what you understand, is just literally 2 people right now, because we haven't seen 031 in a while, and hopefully he's okay.
Yeah.
So the time runs out.
We
All
see
that's
that the B got through, which
yeah,
we because we didn't have any attachment to her partner, we kind of knew. 002 is one of what appeared to be the only pairs who are playing odds and evens, which
yeah.
is one of the games, the marble games, in fact, the central marble game from the initial one. But yes, so there wasn't a huge variance in the games, but everybody took them very seriously.
And
That's
B just destroyed her game. Like she's just like
oh,
boop boop boop. Like
just destroyed it,
I
yeah.
love B. That
I love
woman
B.
is the best.
Yeah.
Was very happy to see it. Like I was like watching this the first time. I was like, "Come on, B, come on, Felicia,
Yes.
make through." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Oh no.
I love that the show has taught us not to get attached to people and be very worried. Yes.
So then we're back to the dorms, and 301 Trey is trying to figure out how he can move forward without his mom. And we get this really nice moment here where TJ 182 comes up to console him, and it's just like TJ's got a good heart. I think that's the thing that needs to be stated a lot at this point, because he kind of takes on the chin for a lot of this episode coming up.
Yes, he does something that is so repugnant to me that he was lucky that the show stacked up a lot of credits for him with me, because he lost
Yeah.
them all, and he almost went into the minors. It was utterly, I think, brutal and
Uh-huh.
repugnant. Yes.
We're so close to that part.
I know, that's why I'm not saying anything.
Yeah. And we also get to a really important thing where TJ and Mai have an understanding about what they need to do going forward. I think that's really, really, really important for this episode and future episodes potentially.
Mhm.
And then we get back to 393 and 451 and a couple of their friends. I think 016 is there too. And she says that she calls like the Bad Bitches Club. And like the small group of them like all signed together. And Jackie again talks about how she really trusts Phil a lot.
The girls and the gays.
Yeah. I love her. I love that. I love people that my heart cheers for.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then the guards arrive and results announce new results that 63 has gone down to 31, which is not a number should hit. Again.
I mean, they have to be thinking there's one too many that's gone. I mean, I even thought, oh, that can't be right, and then I realized, of course, 062 did her dirty.
65.
065. Sorry, 062. 065. Let me be
Yeah.
very clear. Yes, yes.
So we get introduced to a new player now, 355, Hallie. And says the real game is figuring out where other players' heads are right now. I think that's really smart of her. She's an interesting character that is introduced. And
later rival, not a winner, but
yeah,
she is going to affect the game.
So 204 and 034 are the last of the Ganbu gang. Dan and I didn't write his name down. I should have done that. That was my fault there.
Is it Prakash? I can't remember his name.
Give me one. It's Perna.
Perna, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. And they decide that they have to work together because they're friends, but also they have to like be smart,
Yes.
which is important.
Please be smart. Please.
So we get Chad just telling who his top 3 people are, and all we hear is his top one, which is Mai. Um, it's really funny how it was like straight up asked his top 3, and it's literally basically just to introduce Mai's big confessional right now.
Oh, incredible.
Sarah, when I watched this for the second time, I got emotional again. Um, talk about a person to cheer for, you know. Uh, so we find out that Maya was born in Vietnam, and at the fall of Vietnam, she has memories that are just literally like the saddest thing ever. She was 8 years old, and she like popped her head up from the ground at one point and had a gun at her temple, and describes how terrifying it was. And like Maya is such a fascinating character in the show, and also the human being, but it just like it's those like moments where you're like, wow, this is like the type of person you don't see on reality TV too much.
Yes. There's such a complexity because there's her mother pulling her down,
Yeah,
and she doesn't describe it like this, but it's like, well, that's the dividing fork, isn't it, between being shot and living,
yeah.
obviously. And then she talks about not being accepted by her family. Then she talks about going into the military. And it's like such there's a complexity and a realness that because we have seen her, now this one confession can give us. It's not just the story, but it's the attachment to the story that we
Mhm.
have. Again, the story crafting here by the producers is incredible, but she also has an incredible story to tell, as do we all, by the way.
Yes.
We don't have to have guns to our heads to have an amazing story.
No, we don't. So then we get to the next. They're told that the next test, a player needs to be chosen as captain, and like literally immediately, TJ is chosen as the captain.
TJ volunteers
But a lot of people say yes.
and asks if that's okay with everyone.
Fair.
So everyone says yes for a couple of reasons. You don't want to say no, it has to be me, and then the votes, if it's a vote, go with TJ. Also, you don't want to put yourself forward. But there is an interesting amount of muttering about, and Chad in particular says, "It's not my captain."
Well,
There is
he
a
was
little bit
taking
of
a
a
nap.
muttering about it. Yeah, well, he was
Yeah.
taking a nap, right? And yeah, I was interested because I've been so pro TJ and thinking what a sort of he's a wonderful, calm presence and he's uplifting without being he's a cheerleader, but in a very calm and easy and relaxed way, which I really like. People seem to like him. So it was very interesting to have people breaking off and saying, so bloody TJ, basically. And it's interesting also how this sparks what may have been a conversation anyway, but B 018 and Amanda 019, who were standing side by side for red light,
Uh-huh.
green light, they say, we can't stand men doing men things. It's like, yes, sisters, yes.
Is this when we get the brought up of the breakdown of people at this point, or is that very soon?
We're just getting to it
Yeah.
now because
Do
I've
you want to
actually
talk about what TJ does at this point, or
this is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. He forces them all to pray to his Christian God. He says they must all be in a circle. He even says quite sternly, heads down, y'all. And then he prays to his God. It makes my skin crawl and my stomach churn. I'm an atheist, so I don't want to pray to any God. But why is your God above the other 31 peoples as gods if they have gods?
yeah, during this whole thing, like the camera focuses on B, who talks a little bit about how she just doesn't like this. And as other people do, but the camera really focuses on B, keeping her eyes open and such like that, while also going through the motions because you don't want to sting it out in a bad
Well,
way.
this is the thing, because you have to, if I was in that room, I would go to the circle. I would put my arms around.
Yeah.
I would bow my head because, and this has been very clear on, there's a particular season of Survivor that I think of where it was like this compelled Christianity that was imposed on the entire tribe when maybe only 2 or 3 of them were devout. Like, be devout and pray. That's completely
Yeah.
fine. And if you want to waste your breath and pray for me, great. Please do so. Go for your life. But the compelling this is colonization. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
It's not right.
I mean, it's the interesting thing about having such a world game, like such a global game while like you don't know what other people's backgrounds are unless
Mhm.
you actually do know what their backgrounds are. And then like you may be like,
Yes.
hey, it's okay if we do this, but like also I don't think that came up much because why would people talk about religion in a situation like this?
You
And you don't talk it's
literally
like
wouldn't. You
it's like a family thing. You don't talk about politics, you don't talk about religion.
Exactly. I mean, I would go to a circle and put arms around and just have a moment. Let's just have a moment where we
Yeah.
stand together and just think about how grateful we are to be here. Like anything. I mean, I'm not much for new age woo, but that at least would be
Mhm.
inclusive. It's the exclusion part of it that really
It's
sticks up my craw. And as we know that there's a lot of queer representation,
uh-huh.
uh, presumably in the whole show, but certainly in this final 30. And have you thought about what Christianity's done to the gay people?
Hmm.
Some Christianity, some Christians.
Yeah.
Not all Christians, but somehow always a Christian.
Yeah. So that happens, and then we get the first big Amanda drop, really, 19. She says that she's not everything, she's a bimbo, but she also realizes there's only 9 girls left, and they'll have to stick together. And it's really cool watching this part happen, but like all the girls like form a girls' alliance. And literally, I love there's a part where I forget who it is. One of them straight up says, girls, come over here, female alliance, like
It's brilliant. At one point, when they're calling out to the women, including Jackie, who can't hear you, to come over, I'm going, and then they actually say Women's Alliance, and the men are like, oh, the women are
but they
forming an
like
alliance.
chuckle about that. Like they're like,
Mer, mer,
uh,
mer, mer, mer. I
so
mean, it's so brilliant because of what comes next.
oh my god, like,
It's brilliant anyway, but the
it's so
producers
smart.
must have been pissing themselves.
Like how the next game, like how the next 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes of the episode plays, and also like the first 10 minutes of the next episode plays. You're just like, oh my god, that just happened.
That just
We'll talk
happened.
about the next 10 minutes next time, but like we're
Yeah.
still in the last 5 minutes right
I mean,
now.
we think that maybe look, I would buy that I haven't been shown the earlier rumblings of this.
Yeah.
But certainly the stark numbers of 9 out of 31, has got to give you pause.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting how many of the 9 women have a strong 2-person alliance with a man,
Yes.
which will also play into the next
100%.
5 minutes and then the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So at this point, also we realize that the edit is not as glowing for TJ as it used to be. It's not bad. I don't think his edit ever becomes bad, but it's not as like this guy is good.
I mean, he was perfect before. Like, even I was thinking, "Oh, he's perfect."
He's I think as a person he's probably a great dude. Uh I don't love the idea of shoving your religion down other people's throat, but that's just the way it is.
Mhm.
Don't do that. Like, don't do that. Don't.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it on television, don't do it anywhere.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
they're interested, they'll ask you.
Exactly. So the
Yeah.
guards come in and say, TJ, it's 182, go to the right, and 20 players, the next 19 players will make it to the next game. And
So good.
the other
So good.
11 are eliminated.
20 players. It's
They're
just
doing a
20
safety
players.
chain, which, as a person that survived the pandemic playing video like games on my
Oh,
webcam,
I
this makes me
love
so
the
happy.
safety chain. I
Oh,
love the safety chain. Oh my god. For those of you who aren't familiar, I'm sure everyone listening's watched it and
yeah,
and knows reality games. So I'm really, preaching to the choir, shall I say?
yeah.
But you choose one person, that person chooses the next, that person chooses the next.
All the way up to 20, or however is many left in the game. Most games
Yes.
start at 20, so
You'll see it in the Traders UK, and it
yes.
is the downfall of a major character.
Oh,
She makes a huge error in a safety chain.
mm, God. Chairs UK is my
She
favorite
should
of
have
all.
won. Justice
Chairs
her.
UK is by far my favorite of all like 5 versions.
Oh,
5
wow.
or 6 seasons of the Traitors.
It's number 3 for me. New Zealand 1,
I've
Australia
heard
1,
I've not
UK
seen
1.
New Zealand. I need to see New Zealand.
Once you see New Zealand 1, it'll talk to me after you've seen New Zealand 1, put it that way.
The end game of UK is literally perfect.
Yeah.
As perfect as Australian season 2's ending. But
Yeah,
we're not
but
talking about
we can't recommend that season because it's
no,
terrible.
it's rough.
Yeah, it's only 5 episodes long though, so
Justice for Annabelle. I will say
Justice for
that
Annabelle.
even to her
Yes.
face if I ever meet her.
Yes.
I was actually telling my off topic. I was telling my fiance about Annabelle, and she's like, "Oh, we cheer for her."
Yes.
So TJ has his first pick, and he picks immediately 287.
And we all go, "Yay, the Women's Alliance, it's going to work."
And there's so much tension that this could actually happen.
The men have not figured it out.
Well,
and
it's
all
also
the women
first pick.
and us know he picked a woman. This is going to work perfectly. We're going to get all 9 women through to the final
first
20.
10 spots.
Incredible. It's going to be TJ and 9 women.
And then
and about halfway along the chain, the men are going to figure it out.
So Mai is conflicted. Does she choose a woman or does she choose 286? Chad, her best friend from the game.
Yes.
And she's like, well, okay. I need to choose 286. So she chooses Chad.
And we all go, no.
It's still early though. Like y'all have hope for it. Y'all have hope for it.
Well, I just had no confidence that any man would choose a woman, just sort of in general, even though TJ chose Mai. I don't think Mai's wrong here. I don't think she's wrong. I think she's right.
Her game for herself.
I think she's right to choose Chad.
Yeah.
Chad's strong. And also she can have no confidence that anyone else is going to choose Chad. So not only does she want to choose, Chad has her back. She wants to choose Chad. Plus, if she doesn't choose Chad, Chad doesn't get chosen, and Chad doesn't go through to the next round.
So Chad chooses 254, Mikey. Now, Mikey pretty quickly chooses someone from the corner, 077, Marina. So now it's back to the potential for the Women's Alliance. And we're very happy by that. And then she picks 018, our queen, B.
B.
And then B picks 019, Amanda. And then Amanda picks 393, Jackie. I'm so happy at this point. Like all the people that I love are chosen.
And now the men are starting to get worried and count on their fingers. Oh, hold on.
It's so great.
They screamed Women's Alliance in front of you.
They literally say
10 minutes ago.
And I think that's a real 10 minutes too, also, because they're and so the guys start losing their mind, and then 393 asks Amanda if she could pick 451, Phil, but tell Phil to pick a woman. And that's important because Phil is like Chad to Mai, Jackie and Phil are the same.
Yes, and Amanda quite rightly says, do what you think is right.
Yeah.
Because she don't want her to pick Phil. She wants to keep the woman chain going.
And now the tension is hitting an insane pitch of what's going to happen. Who will Jackie pick? A woman or her best friend in the game, 451? And then
she has precedent because Mai picked Chad. So she's not the only woman to pick a man if she does pick Phil.
And we'll find out next time because that's the end of the episode. I know we went long today, but oh my god, those 2 episodes deserved it. This show is serving, and I cannot wait to talk about 7 and 8 with you, Sarah.
And thank you, Gwen and Valencia, for sticking with us. Sorry we went long. Yes, Gwen, we love you too.
Thank you to everyone in the chat. 6 of you guys are watching live. Thank you very much for that. Sarah, how can people follow you? And what exciting things you have coming up?
Well, they can follow me on all the thingies at Sarah Carradine. I'm the same everywhere. And here on Silent Podcasts, around about the time this drops, you will hear Annabelle from Traders Australia 2. And I scream about Big Brother Australia, House of Love. We drag those whores to filth. And I'm talking about both genders. We were doing episodes 1 to 14, And there is a call out. If you want to torture us, if you want us to stab our eyes out, we will do the rest of the season, but you have to tell us that you want us to. How about you, Mark? Where can people find you and what do you have going on?
At MarkLevy85, so you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. Movie Mark is how I've been doing on TikTok, doing
Instagram.
some TikToks about movies. I love talking about movies, like one of my favorite things in the world. Also, we're probably gonna be doing some kind of like award season type stuff coming up with the end of year stuff because I always try to see all the movies. Also, I will be on this week's oh my god, I'm pleased to tell you I almost just said the wrong show, which is the Amazing Race US recap with Sabrina. Always
Just
happy to
followed you on Instagram.
thank you. And also every Thursday, I talk to the most recent eliminated player on the Amazing Race US. I really loved the team that I talked to this past week. And also, Lego Masters getting ready to wrap up. It's not done yet. The roller coaster episode's incredible. I love me some Lego, and I love roller coaster Lego. And Josh and I will be talking about that soon. And also, we are trying to get a date for me to talk to the Derby Squad, the amazing team from Buddy Games that I'm so excited to talk to. That's happening soon. And of course, people can follow at silent_podcast, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Yeah, tell your friends and everything. We'll be back soon. We haven't figured out when we're going to do the last 2 episodes for us, but I love doing this. Sarah, thank you so much.
Thank you, and see you everybody soon.
Bye.